Hello everyone, it's the FPL Grandmaster back again with another video for you all today. We're doing this one a little bit early. The Man United Everton game still hasn't happened yet. That's on later on tonight. But I think with this, it's better to just get this done now. The game week for most people, I think, has not been a great one. Very, very low scoring, very frustrating. Not many points this week at all. I've got, I think in terms of attacking returns, the only one I got was from Haaland and it was an assist. All my other, oh, I guess Timber as well. I forgot about that. But I mean, he went off early and that. He's just not been great ever since I brought him in. But yeah, definitely a really bad week this week. Last week was quite good. A decent green arrow last week. So now to get a red this week is very annoying. We'll talk through it, I guess. First and foremost, the transfer I made last week was to go for Enzo Fernandez. So Bruno Guimaraes injured until I think April. Was conflicted on who to go with to replace him. I went for Enzo in the end, thinking that Burnley game's a decent game to target. I wasn't going to be able to get up to Palmer. I didn't have the money in the bank to do that. So Enzo Fernandez seemed to be a good option. I thought quite safe. His data looks decent. I know, but as usual, he underperforms data. I mean, I don't think his data in the Burnley game was particularly that great, but yeah, just with that game, you really expect Chelsea to do more. You expect that to be a comfortable win. And then, first of all, most of the game 1-0, then the red card happens. And then to top it all off, losing the clean sheet, Robert Sanchez has been an absolute fraud in goal for the last couple game weeks now. So many fixtures where like you're thinking, surely you've got to keep a clean sheet here, right? You have to. And absolutely nothing to show for it from him yet again. Defense this week, terrible. No clean sheets. I left Anderson on the bench as well. Um, and I played Mukiele, and that went absolutely abysmally because he went off in what, like the first 15 minutes, I think less than that. So just a one pointer from Mukiele. It would have been a one pointer either way, I think. I mean, who knows? Maybe the game would have gone differently if he was still on the pitch. I don't know. But terrible. Gabriel, just that Tottenham game, you're like, I know it's a derby, but come on. First of all, they didn't keep the clean sheets in like either of the double game week games, and now keeping a clean sheet against Spurs. They won 4-1. It's just like the fact they've had to concede a goal again. It's very frustrating, and it's putting me more and more off the Arsenal defense going forward. In the midfield, I mean, Declan Rice hit DEFCON again. That's as much as I would have expected and wanted from him anyway. Semenyo does the same thing, hits DEFCON again. So, I mean, that's, I mean, I'm pretty happy with that, I suppose. I mean, in a way, you want a bit more. The Newcastle's not an easy game. I know, like, people were talking it up, and I think I bought into the hype myself a little bit. But Newcastle, even if City are at home, it's never going to be the easiest game in the world. It's easy to say that in hindsight, I suppose, but there we are. Semenyo, though, I mean, he at least hit DEFCON, so that's something. I've got Njaya and Fernandez playing later on today, of course, but I'm like 9 points off safety, and I expect the effective ownership on Fernandez to be quite high. A lot of people own him. Many have probably captained him as a differential this week as well. I mean, yeah, he's probably this. I mean, after Haaland and Palmer, he's probably third, I think, on that list of most likely captains, unless people want for João Pedro. I think Pedro's probably fourth in the ranking for the past week. But with that, I mean, even if Fernandez does well, I'm not going to gain too much. So it's really on Njai, who's I think about 2% owned or something like that. It's really not. Okay, well now he's four, almost just under 4%, but still he's a massive differential for sure. It's pretty much all on him, so I'm like holding up for a penalty in that game later on, but I don't really see it happening, to be fair. I'm pretty I just accept that it's gonna be a red arrow this week and I'm gonna have to fix things next week. In the attack, Bowen is a DEFCON magnet apparently. He just keeps hitting DEFCON. I mean, he's not doing it every game, but the fact he's doing it like semi-regularly is a surprise. It's not why I bought him, but I mean, I guess I'll take it. having said that, West Ham really could have, they should have scored at least one goal in that game against Bournemouth. It's very frustrating, very, very frustrating. And as a fan, even like, even if it was a bone scoring, they should have really at least scored a goal. But I guess we got a clean sheet. If that means, I mean, that's an improvement. We haven't been able to do that all season. And then Haaland, he got an assist, and then he didn't hit bonus, and then he did hit bonus. This is, I mean, I've heard other content creators talk about this whole thing a lot, like FPL Nightmare, who his rants are top tier, but he's been mentioning too, like this bonus point system is really stupid, and I agree. Like, if you're gonna have bonus points, just make up your mind like within, I guess, couple hours of the games, right? Don't like set bonus points and then like a day or two later, just because someone's had an earlier kickoff, they can suddenly change it. Like I find it quite ridiculous. It just means that you're less inclined to go for the players playing later on, just because you know that there's less time for the bonus points to change compared to players that play earlier. So it's a bit strange. I've found it really weird this season why we've been doing that, but it is what it is, really. We can now have a look, I suppose, going into game week 28. And I mean, my plan, I talked about it last week. I was considering the wild card. I've already activated the chip now. This is where I'm at the moment with the wild card. Of course, with this, I have to have in mind a couple of things. The blank in 31, first and foremost. So I don't think I'm going to have both Gabriel and O'Reilly at the end. I've brought in O'Reilly for now just to catch the price rise. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do at the moment, to be fair. I suppose it's kind of just wait and see. I'm honestly contemplating bringing in Virgil instead for Gabriel. I might just make that change this week because, I mean, it would be typical for Chelsea to keep a clean sheet against Chelsea after everything now, or heck, even for Gabriel to score a goal. But I mean, I'm just kind of frustrated and done with the Arsenal defense at the moment. And Virgil has decent fixtures. At the beginning, when I played the wild card, I had Verts in the team. Obviously, he went off injured before the Liverpool game even started. He got injured in the warm-up, I believe. So, but now Mbeumo takes that spot. Whether he stays, I guess it sort of depends. I actually don't mind having double United midfield at the moment. I mean, that Palace game, especially how they're playing, it looks decent, and with Glasner, the situation is very up in the air at the moment. So. Yeah, we'll see. But I'm quite happy to do that. And I mean, Fernandez at home to Palace, I think is a very good fixture to target at the moment. You'll notice I mean, two triple ups in this team. So triple City and triple Brentford. I'm still a bit skeptical about the triple Brentford, to be fair. I'm not sure if I'm gonna stick to it. Double Brentford seems okay. Like Kelleher and Thiago, I'm okay with. Triple, I'm not sure. I like Dango could easily become Wilson, who I mean, Fulham have got Tottenham at home. Hardly the worst fixture to have at the moment. So, and just in general, I think I'm a bit more confident over Wilson's minutes compared to Dango. I know like he's been all right the last couple games. He's played 90 the last few, but I think Wilson's a lot more nailed compared to Witara Dango. So yeah, for that reason, I'm kind of umming and ahhing at the moment over that. Rodgers has got like one good game left, and then he's got I think United and Chelsea, then he's got West Ham, and then I forgot the other two. I know he's got Sunderland, and he's got another decent one as well. Forest, yep. So that's the next five, six, yeah. But I mean, the Wolves game still looks decent. Of course, it's a Midlands derby, I suppose. So it looks like a decent fixture for him. Obviously, I don't know, have Villa have been okay-ish over the last few, not like great, but they've been okay. I'm hoping that they can hit a bit of form like they did earlier in the season. That would help massively, and especially if Rodgers is involved, that's exactly what I'd want. But yeah, I'm on wild card now. Calvert-Lewin on the bench, so that's for this week. It's fine because it's City. Rodon on the bench as well. That's fine. Henderson on the bench. I'm just anticipating a double game week later on for City and Palace. And if that does happen, which seems likely, then it's good to have a double game week keeper. It helps. And in 31, I can rotate quite easily. I might have a look at 31 now actually, but before I do that, just yeah, a couple of things. So with Cavalier and there's a bit of a rotation headache that's gonna just be there for the next couple of weeks. I might bench boost in 29 actually, so that's one thing I'm looking at. Mukiele went off, yeah, as I said, he went off injured in the game in 27. Yeah, in 27. So yeah, I'll just have to see how that goes. Ideally, I keep him because I still think he's a good asset to have, decent price. But if he's not there, maybe I just downgrade to Hill at Bournemouth instead. That seems perfectly fine to me. I'll also have a look at some of the future planning, just to have a look really, just to see what's going on. But I mean, those are kind of some of my thoughts at the moment. And then you can see I've got a bit of a plan here. So, I mean, I talked about Wilson. Maybe there are a couple differences I think to mention also with this team compared to the one I've currently got on FPL. So Mukele is gone, and then Gabriel's gone as well, and then Senesi's there instead, and Bertro's there instead. So that's one difference, of course. I think that's perfectly fine to make. Wilson's here instead of Dango, but we'll see. I'm still not decided on that. But yeah, suppose that's the team for 28 instead. Then 29, I'm genuinely considering a bench boost because I mean all the bench look like they have decent enough fixtures. I mean, obviously, Chelsea at home for Rodgers isn't the best fixture in the world, but it's still a decent fixture. And Chelsea have been conceding as you've as I've had to deal with firsthand having Sanchez for so long. So I think that game's perfectly fine, and it looks like a decent week to bench boost. I mean, I could hold it for the doubles, but I mean, if your bench looks good, and I don't think it really matters so much, unless it's going to be a massive double, which there's no present guarantee of. I don't mind just using it in a single game week, and this is how it would line up. The plan with the wildcard is pretty much to just not have to make transfers for the next few weeks. So I've had to think very carefully about how to set up this team for I guess the next couple game weeks at least. I'm looking at least the next five, I think. If not, yeah, at least the next five. Especially with the blank and 31 coming up. This is what I've had to think about quite a lot. So yeah, as it stands, I wouldn't have as long as there's no injuries, which of course there can be, knowing this game, or red cards. I wouldn't be surprised. So yeah, as long as none of that happens, which I mean, fingers crossed. This is how it's set up in 31. This triple city on the bench basically, Henderson on the bench as well, and then everyone else just playing. In terms of leads, the Brentford game looks decent. Of course, there's going to be some clashes just because it's a blank. So I've got, I've basically got a Brentford attacker playing against a Leeds defender, and I've got a Brentford goalkeeper playing against, actually, yeah, against a Leeds attacker. So it's not perfect, but of course, in a blank, that's just how things go sometimes. Senesi, I mean, I don't expect a clean sheet against United, but DEFCON, he's good for DEFCON generally, so I'm happy to do that. And then Anderson and Wilson against Burnley. I don't know how I feel about that fixture anymore, to be honest. With but what Burnley have been doing the last couple of weeks, been really frustrating for FPL. But we'll see how it goes really with that. Then Rodgers at home to West Ham looks fine. Fernandez, Bournemouth away, and Bournemouth away looks like a decent enough fixture. I'll probably captain Fernandez. Maybe I'll go for a punt. I don't know. I think that's something to see closer to the time, just to see who's in form a bit more. But that's how I'm setting up for now. Then finally, I'm just thinking maybe we have a look at some of the transfers right now. We can just take a quick look and I can briefly look at some of them. So, I mean, with O'Reilly, he obviously very good in the last two games now. I think, yeah, last two games, I believe. Especially the game just in 27 where he got two goals. Uh, so I think he's a good option. Whether he stays in midfield, I think it's a bit of wait and see. But I mean, if you're chasing like I am, I think he's a very good option to go for, especially on wildcard. If if you're not on wildcard, maybe it's a bit harder to justify. I don't know, especially if you're like looking to wildcard in 32, because then you've got to make sure you've got to dead end your team at 31. So I don't think you want to really bring in another City player at this point. Virgil, I think, makes sense to bring in at this point. His fixtures look decent. He's been doing a lot better recently, so I think that's a perfectly good shout. And then Szoboszlai, I'm never really sure about him just because of he can play right back sometimes. It's that kind of puts me off a bit, admittedly. But I mean, you can go for him. It's not my favorite Liverpool option. I think Verts is the one I'd prefer. Ekatike, I'm a bit skeptical of just because he's just very expensive. I mean, he's not that much more expensive than Verts, but if it means you have to make two transfers to get there because you're on 3-5-2 at the moment, then I really don't think it's worth it to go for Ekatike. But Szoboszlai is good. Oh, he was good. I mean, now Salah's back. I think Salah's probably back on pen, so some of that appeal from Szoboszlai is kind of gone. Thiago looks good, I think, for the next couple games. You just have to hope he actually delivers, but I think on paper it looks good. And then Semenyo, it's one of those things like I probably wouldn't bring him in on wildcard unless sorry, I would bring him in on wildcard. I wouldn't bring him in if you're not on wildcard. But I guess again that kind of depends on the strategy for 31. If you are gonna free hit in 31, it's not really much of an issue. You can go for it. I guess the City games, the next couple look decent anyway, so why not go for it? And Hill is just look. I think Hill looks good as a cheap option, especially. I mean, I can talk through the whole list. It's very long, but I think those are the main players. I mean, João Pedro, I wouldn't go for now, just because. Yeah, the Chelsea fixtures are turning, so it's not my favorite option in the world. Wilson looks good. Yeah, that's pretty much everything I'd say about the top transfers in as of now. Of course, I mean, something crazy could happen in the United game later today, and everything could change. But I don't know. Yeah, a lot of Chelsea out this week as well, which is to be expected with the fixture turn. Enzo at the very top of the list, which I mean makes sense. It makes sense to be fair. He's probably one of the highest owned Chelsea players. I mean, forget that the João Pedro 47.7%. Wow. But he's up. He's one of them, and anyway. But yeah, a lot of Chelsea players have been transferred out, which I think is a fair shout. Bruno Guimaraes, yeah, that just makes sense. He's out for a couple game weeks at least, so perfectly makes sense. And Timber has been taking the absolute mick over the last couple games now. He's in fact he got an assist, but then he gets subbed off early, so and he got a yellow card against us as well. So it's just very frustrating to own him, I think, and I just wouldn't go there to be fair. And I would probably even say you can get rid of him as long as you. I mean, I'm getting rid of Gabriel, but I think if I was giving advice to someone else, I'd probably say I wouldn't be in a rush to get rid of Gabriel especially if you're not playing wildcard. I wouldn't be in a rush to get rid of Gabriel, but with Timber, I think it's fine because I mean, especially now, he just looks like he might be there's a bit of rotation risk with him now, it seems as well. So that's all the more reason. With Gehi, I'm not really sure why people would transfer him out. He looks like a decent. I mean, maybe it's people just making the sideways transfer to O'Reilly. That's what I'd assume. But yeah, it's just not a move I would look to make, to be honest. It's a bit of an odd one. Gehi still has, I think, okay defcon. I mean, I'm not sure how great it is at City now. We'll have a look. Yeah, it's not bad. He doesn't hit it every game, but it's not the worst thing ever. I would say so. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess if you're chasing upside, maybe it makes sense, but I think it's a bit of a luxury transfer to go from Gehi to O'Reilly unless you've stacked up a couple already. But yeah, that's about it. That's everything I have to say about game week 28. Fingers crossed and Dry scores a brace later on, but I'm not banking on it. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. Any transfer advice you need, just leave a comment down below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If any specific videos you'd like me to make to do with FPL, just let me know. And as always, I've been the FPL Grandmaster. See you in the next one.